with no success? Aren't you tired of sitting on the sidelines waiting to get some playing time? Always on the roster but never coming off the bench? It's time for you to coach your own dream team. You want a championship ring? You ready to win at the game of love? Then it's time to get in the game. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my house. It's Erica Watson, and I am the host of Get in the Game. This is a podcast that is the single girl's guide to building a dream team and coaching that team and winning the championship of love and getting the ring you've always wanted. Basically, I'm trying to help women get put up on game about the game. So many of us are out here dating and trying to figure out our lives and maneuver through this whole system of meeting guys and dating guys and doing that. And most of us are getting it wrong. I know I am. So I'm not coming to you as some type of expert with this. I am a girl who's learning along with you, and I just want to share with you some of the skills and tactics that I've learned to help me get in the damn game. Shout out to Red Sorbet Lipstick Line. They are the sponsor of this podcast today. And also, I got to show some love, as usual, to Ty Hill, who is the greatest producer in the world, producing this podcast and having a bunch of fun, adding all the sound effects and all the great things that make this sound like I really know what I'm doing, because I don't. But let's see. Last time I was with you all, we kind of just laid down the foundation of why I want to encourage women to build a team of men and date 5 guys all at once. And I know, even though it shouldn't be, for some people, this is a very revolutionary thought, that you don't have to just meet one guy and date him and hope that he likes you enough to keep it going and stick around for the long haul, hoping that you eventually become a girlfriend or a wife. You too, as a woman, can see what's out there, have some fun and play around and date different guys. 5 guys. Every woman should be dating 5 men, at least 5 men, and have a starting lineup of amazing players on her team. Yeah, it's that simple. That's all it is. Speaking of players, though, just thinking about this whole concept. Of course, we all know the greatest basketball player that has ever lived on this planet is Michael Jordan. And I was like, damn, what do I got to do to get a bunch of Michael Jordans on my team? I don't want these scrubs. I don't want any guys that can't even, get a pickup game at the local park. I want the dude that's the all-star, that's the MVP on my team, and I want a team full of those kind of dudes. So I was thinking, what is it about Michael Jordan as a player that made him so amazing? I guess basically, for one, he had a love and a respect for the game, but also his coaches were very instrumental in making him the player that he was. And I want to kind of focus on that, because I think it's important for all of us to understand that if you're going to take this on and coach a team, you have to understand the importance of a coach and what a coach does, know your coaching style, and have a really good working relationship with your players. Now, full disclosure, y'all, I'm going to keep it real with you. I don't know much about sports. As a matter of fact, I really don't know shit. I know that there's basketball and there's baseball and rugby and all these other things, but I am not that big of a sports fan. I don't know much about it. And what's interesting is that my first job working professionally in media I interned. I was a sports intern at the NBC affiliate in Chicago. Why I picked sports, I don't know. I think I thought I'd get to meet all the cute players. I didn't know shit about the actual games. But I kind of ended up having a knack for helping to produce the sports broadcast. And then I went on to later be a producer of sports. And it's crazy that a person like me that didn't know anything about the games, I don't know the players, didn't really know the rules of engagement, was working in sports. But I just wanted to tell you all that. So a lot of the stuff I'm saying is just with a basic knowledge of the game of basketball, but with a very vast working knowledge of the game of dating. All right, because I done dated a lot, and I done had a lot of horrible ass boyfriends. But yeah. So just keep that in mind when I talk about some of this stuff, because I might say foul and really mean a damn. I travel with the ball. I don't know what all these things mean, but I do know that I kind of thought about the sports analogy with dating when one of my really good friends that I grew up with, Nazir Muhammad, was playing basketball. And he really honestly inspired this podcast. I don't even know if Nazir knows that. I'm going to tell him when I talk to him. But I saw in high school the way in which the college teams went after Nazir for him to come and play on their squads. And you know, Nazir was the chubby kid in the neighborhood, not someone that most people would probably think growing up that he would have eventually been in the NBA. But when you talk to Nazir about it, he's very clear when he says he always knew he would be an NBA player. It didn't matter if he was the chubby kid, if he was maybe a little slower than others, or didn't have the skill set of others. He knew deep in his heart that playing in the NBA was his dream and he was going to do it. There was no question about it. But I remember when I went away to school and to college, and when I came home one fall, Nazir had all these letters from all of these colleges. And I mean hundreds of letters from coaches, right? All these coaches were trying to convince him that their school, their athletic program would be the best for him. And they went after him just like in a fearless way. And I remember Nazir pulling out this big box of letters, and I told him I wanted to organize those letters for him. So I went through and I was reading, and I was like, wow, like they're pointing out all the amazing things about that school that would make it so that he would be happy playing there. Now, at the time, I was a student at the University of Illinois down in Champaign. And I, of course, wanted him to come to U of I. He ended up going to UK, but it was just so interesting to me that here's the kid that many people would probably think, nah, he might play at a smaller university or whatever, but he won't have championship rings and win the NCAA tournaments, and he definitely won't go to the NBA, but yeah, he did. And I remember reading some of those letters from coaches, and they were very heartfelt, handwritten letters about the school. Fast forward 2 years, Nazir gets drafted in the first round, and he goes on to play in the NBA. And when it was time for his contract to be renegotiated or whatever they call that, and he's going around meeting with other teams, I remember he had made a stop in New York where I was living at the time. And then I think he went over to visit Jersey. All these teams are flying him out, trying to get him to pick their team to play on. And I remember saying to Nazir, like, damn, what if the men in my life treated me this way, where I am the one that they are courting, trying to let me know that they should be that we should be together, Because I'm like, these teams were going hard. And I'm not doing anything crazy or illegal, just really letting him know that they believed in him and his abilities and knew that with him on their team, they could win. And that's the way I wanted men to court me, to come after me and let me know, baby, with you, I can win. I can get it. And it started making sense to me that I have been on teams I don't know if I've been the point guard or the power forward or the center or what, but I've been on some teams, but I didn't want to be. So now I'm like, okay, well, damn, it's time for me to be a coach. And that means I got to go out and seek only the top players, the most amazing guys that can be on my team and lead me to the victory. So I have to say a shout out and thank you to Nazi for just letting me be a little bit of part of the process, the fly on the wall with watching the way in which these teams went after him over the years. And to know that if you're good at what you do and you're confident and you study the game and play it well, you will be successful. And that's in basketball. I'm sure that's in baseball and football. And it also can be in the game of love. But going back to Michael Jordan for a minute, one thing about Michael Jordan is that he's always, for the most part, seems to have really good relationships with his coaches. So I said, if I want team members that are like the Jordans of the world, the Jordans of the dating world, if I want my men on my team to lead me to championship games and be like the top players in the world, what kind of coach do I need to be? I'm going to tell you all, just doing a little research because I don't know shit about sports. I'm going to read to you what the definition of being a coach is. One thing I found, it said, basketball coaching is the act of directing and strategizing the behavior of a basketball team or individual basketball player. Basketball coaching typically encompasses the involvement of individual and team offensive and defensive skills, as well as overall physical conditioning. All right. Also, it says, here's another one. Wait a minute. A basketball coach has a myriad of responsibilities that include the importance of being a moral, upstanding role model for the players on his team. A basketball coach must also be able to manage the administrative duties of the job, recruit top players, get them in shape, create a team, motivate players, and teach them how to play the game. And this right here is very critical, right? I'm like, okay, so if we taking this on and we're having fun with this, but the truth of the matter is that if we are going to be coaches of our own team, we gotta manage the administrative duties of the team, recruit top players, get them in shape, create the team, and motivate the players and teach them how to play the game. Too many times we let men come in our lives and they train us and teach us how we are going to fall in line on the little raggedy ass team that they're creating. But now is the time for us as a coach to say, look, I see your skill set. I see what you bring to the table. I like you. You can come and play on my team. And once you get on this team, I'm going to teach you the rules. I'm going to teach you the game. And if you hang in there and give me your all, you can win. The type of recruitment letters that Nazi used to get back in the day when he was figuring out what university he wanted to go to is what we need to do when it comes to choosing the kind of players we want on our teams. We need to go for the best. We need to know what we want. We need to get players that have an amazing skill set that are coachable. Some of these dudes so raggedy, you can't coach them. It makes no sense to get involved with them, right? It's like, no, I need you to be coachable. I need you to play your position, know it well. And I ultimately need you to help lead this team to win. There's no need for you to be around if you don't have a winning spirit. So we got to stop dating losers because all they want to do is lose. We got to get us some people that know what they're doing depending on what position they're going to play. And I think that coaches are important. A lot of these players get the glory from the game. They're the superstars. They're the all-stars. But even a player like Michael Jordan made it very clear that he had two very important men in his life during his time as an athlete. First was his coach, Dean Smith, at Carolina, and then Phil Jackson, right? So these are the two coaches that were in his life that had a strong impact on him. I'm going to tell you, Michael Jordan, here's a quote that Michael Jordan gave about Dean Smith. He said, "Other than my parents, no one had a bigger influence on my life than Coach Smith. He was more than a coach. He was my mentor, my teacher, my second father. Coach was always there for me whenever I needed him, and I loved him for it. In teaching me the game of basketball, he taught me about life." Woo, that's powerful. Do you understand the impact that you and I can have being a coach for a team? That we can be more than just teach them about the game, that we can mentor and be there in a loving way and teach these men about life. That's how much of an impact a coach has. Are y'all ready to coach? Because I'm ready to coach. The job title, just sounds simple. Oh, he's a coach of the team. No, a true coach, when you can get a player at the level of a Michael Jordan to say that it's because of you that I've learned what life is and what it means to be a winner. Oh my goodness. That is the shit. There's another quote I have Michael Jordan gave about Phil Jackson. And he said, "Phil Jackson was lucky because I was taught the game by Dean." So basically, think about it like this. Dean Smith, the original coach, laid the foundation. And because of that, Phil Jackson got the top tier athlete. It was because of that first coach. Now, for some of us, we may be coming into a situation where we're going to be the first real coach for some of these dudes. Some of these dudes been coaches. They've been coaching in the little leagues, though. Some of these dudes have had teams. But now you're going to put them on your team. So you might end up being the Dean Smith in a dude's life, the one that teaches him how to play the game, which means that he eventually will move on and maybe join another team. And that is what it is. You basically are preparing a lot of these men for the next chick. But we do that all the time. I had an ex-boyfriend that didn't have a lot going on, and he came into my life, and I upgraded him seriously with my contacts and my abilities and the things that I was doing. But I prepared him for the next bitch. You take a loss sometimes. He was supposed to just be a team player and play with you for a little bit in the college division, and then he's going to go on to the pros. And he'll move on and be with another coach. And she might get a ring with him. But that's cool. You take your loss. For others, we will be the Phil Jackson in a dude's life, where he's put some other women through a bunch of shit, been on another team, learned how to play, became an amazing player, and now can fit on your team and win the championship. And that's cool too. We want a man that has been exposed and that is, I don't know, ready to come and play on your team. So coaches, coaches are important. I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to give you a couple quotes from Phil Jackson himself that I think you all should take with you as you're figuring out how you're going to be coaching. Let me look through my my notes here. All right. This is from Phil Jackson. He says, "Good teams become great ones when the members trust each other enough to surrender the me for the we." Did you hear that? Good teams become great ones when the members trust each other enough to surrender the me for the we. So the dudes on your team that are playing, they need to understand it ain't about just the me, the him. It's about the we, brother. We all in this team together. And you got to play your position and play it well and do what's asked of you. Also, Phil Jackson says, the strength of the team lies within the individual, and the strength of the individual lies within the team. So you're only as good as the weakest link on your team. And the team cannot survive, though, with a bunch of weak players. You ain't going to get no championships with that. But also knowing that the strength of each individual is how well the team works together. You got to get some team players, lady. You can't get these guys that, don't want to play fair, don't want to follow the rules, coming late to practice in a dirty uniform, ain't took no bath, stinking, looking a mess, don't know the games, don't know the positions and the plays. It's like, come on, dude. I need somebody that can do more than just dunk or do tricks. I need somebody that can really get in this game and build momentum and help this team get where it needs to get. This is another quote from Phil Jackson. He says, life, basketball is messy and unpredictable. It has its way with you no matter how hard you try to control it. The trick is to experience each moment with a clear mind and open heart. When you do that, the game and life will take care of itself. Do you all hear that? Life is unpredictable. So is the game of basketball, and so is the game of love. It's all unpredictable. But if you experience each moment with a clear mind and an open heart, then it'll all take care of itself. And I think that's important for us to know that there's so many different ways to play this game and nobody's perfect. But if you do what you're supposed to be, do what you're supposed to do and be who you're supposed to be, you will get what you want out of life. And I want to tell you this. Last two quotes from Phil Jackson. One is, leadership is not about forcing your will on others. It's about mastering the art of letting go. Wow. Phil Jackson is dropping some science. And this is the last one from Phil Jackson. He says, no one plays this or any game perfectly. It's the guy who recovers from his mistakes who wins. And I think that's not just dealing with players, but us as coaches as well, that you have to be able to recover from your mistakes, whether it be allowing a man that isn't worthy to stay in your life much longer than he should be there, giving him too much love and affection and attention that he doesn't deserve, or just pouring so much of yourself into him that you forget who you are. You can recover from those mistakes. I know I have. I'm still recovering from mistakes I've made in the past with guys. But I'm telling you, moving forward, thinking about this whole aspect of coaching, I'm picking much more wisely now and making decisions for myself that are good. And I think that's all you can really do is to continue to recover. I got a couple quotes from Dean Smith, too, I want to share with you all. I think this is important. Once again, we're trying to figure out the best way to be a coach, right? So who better to learn from than some coaches? Dean Smith says, if you make every game a life and death proposition, you're going to have problems. For one thing, you'll be dead a lot. He was funny. Here's one. There is a point in every contest when sitting on the sidelines is not an option. Yes. Dean Smith, I love you. He said there is a point in every contest when sitting on the sidelines is not an option. I've been on the sidelines, guys, and not just in love, even when it comes to career, finances, health, me trying to get this weight off, trying to lose weight and do these things. I have been on the sidelines, and it comes a time when you have to suit up and say no more. It's time for me to get in the game. He also says, Dean Smith, basketball is a team game, but that doesn't mean all 5 players should have the same amount of shots. Oh, shit. He said something there. For real. As we're building our teams and we got 5 players on the team, we got to remember that every player doesn't get equal playing time on the team. Every player doesn't get the same access to making shots. You've got to know also when it's time to put in a substitution and when it's also time to kick somebody off the team and trade them or even just simply give them a timeout. There is a guy right now that you're dating that's been on bullshit, that hasn't kept his word, hasn't been there for you the way he should, and keeps playing games. And you still let him play in your game. It's up to you to decide whether you want to sit him out of the game for a while or switch things up on him. But I tell you this, and you better take heed to what Coach Dean Smith said. Everybody that's on your team doesn't always get to play. And sometimes you have to make a decision whether or not it is worth risking the game and having this person on your team that should not be playing. With that being said, we're going to take a bit of a break, ponder on all this for a minute, but just know that if you're going to coach, maybe you should look at some of the best coaches that are out there and how they made it work. We'll be back. Today's halftime report is brought to you by Red Sorbet, a daring and sultry lip color line that will captivate everyone in the room. Ultra long wear, highly pigmented, bold colors in more than 24 different shades. Red Sorbet will have you wanting more. For more info, check out redsorbetbeauty.com. And remember, one sweet kiss will last forever. Red Sorbet. And we are back. My question to you, ladies, is what kind of coach are you? Do you know what kind of coaching style you're going to bring to your team? There's different kinds. And I want to talk to you a little bit about the styles I know about. There are probably a bunch of coaching styles out there. I don't know. But from just doing research and taking this real seriously, I found that there are 3 main styles of coaching. And I think if you're going to build a team, you have to really know what kind of coach you're going to be, because the kind of coach you're going to be determines the whole atmosphere that this team is going to have. And if you want a winning team, you've got to be able to coach your players. There's no need to try to have a Jordan on your team if you don't have the kind of style that will match well with that player, and so on and so on. So, first style of coaching is autocratic, which is bossy and authoritative. Okay? I know a lot of you bitches probably got that under control. A lot of bossy bitches out there. I don't know. I think that style works well for some people. There's some women that are just very, very like the alpha male. They're very bossy, and they know what they want, and they demand it at all times. So that may be your style of coaching. But keep in mind, I find that the more bossy you are as a woman, then you can't boss around men that are also bosses. Keep that in mind, okay? If you're going to be a bossy coach and a bossy woman, you probably going to have a lot of weak dudes on your team. For some of y'all, that may be what you want. I want some grown-ass men that can take care of me and pay some bills and be a support system and give me some good dick when I want it. I need to have some winners on my team. And because of that, I don't know about the whole bossy stuff. So, but the autocratic is the first style of coaching. Then you have the democratic style of coaching. And a person who's more democratic is a guider and more personable, so to speak. So I kind of think of myself more as a democratic person because I really do want a man that can lead. Does that mean that all dudes on my team will be leaders? No, they'll be an MVP. They'll be a team captain, so to speak. They'll definitely be a franchise player on my team that I'm really going to build my team around. But I look at myself as a very personable woman. I'm sweet when I need to be, and I'm tough a little bit, but not to the point where I want to emasculate a man. I want a man to be comfortable in his skin. So, so I'm more democratic, if anything, probably. And then the third coaching style is laissez-faire. That's French, right? I don't know my French. But that person is more of a minder, more casual, very laid-back coaching style. You kind of just let the players run amok and do whatever the hell they want to do. And that may work for some of you all. Where you just sit back, you've told them the rules, you've given each person their position, and they know what the goals are, but you kind of let them do their thing and play the game the way they want to play it. And you only step in if things are really getting out of hand. And actually, there might be a little bit of me in that, a little bit of a laissez-faire attitude. I probably will bounce between democratic and laissez-faire. But I think it's really important that all of us know what kind of coach we're going to be. You're putting these guys together on this team, right? And you're dating 5 minutes once. You've got to know what your management style is going to be before you get the guys. Now, that doesn't mean you may not alter some things as you go along, but you need to be firm and stand in who you are and know who you are. And that's why I really suggest that every woman does a SWOT analysis, SWOT. And that stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And a SWOT analysis is what a lot of businesses do when they are trying to figure out what makes them work and what doesn't make them work. So you got to take stock and take ownership of who you are and be fully aware of what you bring to the table as a coach, as this woman that's putting herself out here in the dating pool. I think a lot of times we focus on, well, what is he bringing to the table and what does he look like? And it's like, but no, you got to be honest with who you are first. So you look at your strengths, you look at your weaknesses, and you look at your opportunities and threats that are out there. See, strengths and weaknesses are internal. They're things that you're dealing with as the coach, as the business, as the brand. And then opportunities and threats are external things, external things going on that will affect you being able to be successful. And let me be real. Every woman needs to strip down to the bare bones. I mean, get butt ass naked, right? And really look at who you are, flaws and alls. Flaws and all. I'm fucking up a word, sorry. It's a podcast, whatever, we chilling. But yeah, look at your flaws. Look at all the bumps, the bruises, the stretch marks, the cellulite, the cigarette burns, the cuts, all the little gritty, nasty stuff that jiggles on your body and get to the core of who you are. Because then you can be honest about what you have to offer to the world. And if what you're looking at you can't stand, if you can't look in the mirror and embrace it and love it and fully function with your flaws, you either need to fix some things or get out the game for a while, because you can't bring your bullshit to a relationship and expect to have a team full of Kobe's and Michael Jordans and D Wade's and you sitting here as a fucking scrub. You know what I mean? So look at your strengths. Hey, one strength might be you cook good. And hey, you may have degrees and be well educated. Maybe you're a kind-hearted person. Maybe you're very creative. Okay, well then what are your weaknesses? Maybe you can't really cook that well. Maybe your sex game is not at a prime time level. I know some women may be good, have good coochie, but then their head game is horrible, which means he wants to go look elsewhere to get that done. You got to get that under control, ladies. We'll talk about that another time, though. You know, maybe another weakness is that you're very jealous or insecure. Be honest about who you are and what your issues are if you're going to get out here and date. You can't be a coach and you crazy. Maybe you need some therapy. Maybe you need some help. But you got to be honest with yourself with who you are. I do it. I've done it. I will continue to do it because I want to win. So you can't win if you don't know what your strengths are and your weaknesses are. Then when you look out here into the dating world, what are your opportunities? Do you live in a city that has a lot of eligible bachelors that you can meet? Can you join some networking organizations or get involved with some things where you can meet eligible single men? Are you moving to a new town? Whatever it is, what are the opportunities you have to get out here and get a new full roster of men to play? And then what are the threats? Hey, maybe the women where you live outnumber the men 5-1. Maybe it's 5 chicks to every one dude. And that's a threat. Maybe the economy where you are is really horrible and the men don't really have the money to entertain you. Think about what all those things are. And remember, guys, strengths and weaknesses are internal. Opportunities and threats are external. And when you put all of that together and work on those things and really look at what the landscape is that is you can know how to set up a team to win. You find somebody where your strengths are compatible to whatever he's got going on. You find team members that can meet you where your weaknesses are and maybe pick you up where you fall. You can't cook. Maybe one of your team players need to be a goddamn chef, right? You can't pay your bills. Maybe one of your players, his strengths needs to be that he got some goddamn money. I don't know what it is, but you cannot build a team without knowing how they can play off of your strengths and weaknesses for the betterment of the team. And once again, the opportunities and threats that are out there that can make winning a championship hard for you, you've got to be aware of those things. But ultimately, you need to know what kind of coach you can be if you want to build a successful team. With that being said, before we leave, I want to give you another quote from Phil Jackson that I think can really help us stay on track with this whole building a team thing. Phil Jackson says, "And yet as a coach, I know that being fixated on winning or more likely not losing is counterproductive, especially when it causes you to lose control of your emotions. What's more, obsessing about winning is a loser's game. The most we can hope for is to create the best possible conditions for success, then let go of the outcome. The ride is a lot more fun that way." Sounds to me like Phil Jackson might be a little bit of a laissez-faire coach. Like put all the major players in their position and let them play. But all I know is that, like he said, obsessing about winning is a loser's game. And we don't want to lose, right? We don't want to be losers. Don't obsess about winning. Just be the best you, be the best coach you can be, and build your team. In the end, you'll win.